Hello everyone, welcome back to Coders United. Today we're going to be discussing JSX. So JSX is an XML-like syntax extension which allows us to place our HTML markup directly within our JavaScript files. And this is most commonly used in a React app. So we're going to start by creating a React app using the create React app command. From here, let's go ahead and head to our index.js file. And we can see here on line 10 is where it mounts the app component. And the app component contains the JSX, which renders to the browser. So let's go to the app.js file. And within this file, you can see it's a function which returns a block of HTML code. So to boot up, we're going to run our npm start command, and we can then view that in the browser. Okay, and as you can see, it's rendering just like it would in a static HTML file. So let's play around with that a bit. We're going to go ahead and delete this template code, and let's add our own header tag and say hello world. From here, we can save that, and in our browser, we can see, it outputs just like it would in a static HTML file. So now that we've got the hang of how rendering works in JSX, let's talk about how styling works. So we can use CSS or inline styling. So let's go ahead and go to the CSS file, and let's clear out the template code, and let's add our own target. We'll say it's a header with the color of red. And from here, we can save this, and we can see as a result in the browser, it colors our header red. So nothing different there, it's normal, just as you would in any other app. But then if we look at the inline styling, this is a little different within JSX. So we need to put the style tag, and we need to target an object which contains key value pairs of styles. So we'll go ahead and we'll change this header to blue. And as we can see in the browser, it goes ahead and it changes to that color. So now we got our styling in order. Let's go ahead and move forward and talk about how we can parse data within JSX. So because our HTML is in a JavaScript file, we can use curly braces to then create expressions just like we would in a JavaScript file, right? So we can say 1 + 1, and the file is going to evaluate that and output to that browser. And as you can see, it calculates it and then renders the result. So having that logic allows us to do many different things, but one of the more common things is conditional rendering. So to conditionally render something, we go ahead and we'll use a ternary operator to set an expression, and if that expression is true, we are going to return a header, and we'll call this header true. And then if the expression is false, we're going to instead return a header that says false. So from here, we can go ahead and save our work, head back to the browser, and as you can see, it evaluates the expression, and then depending on what's true or not, it renders a different result. So let's go ahead and poke at that. So I'm going to enter a false result, and if we go back to the browser, now we can see it conditionally renders the different result. So now we've got our conditional rendering and how you can do that with JSX. Let's go ahead and let's explore lists. So as you probably know, in software, it's a super common occurrence to render lists. So let's go ahead and create some dummy data here. We'll call this list, and it will be an array, and we'll populate it with some objects that will just contain different names of individuals. So we'll just say Joe, Jack, and Jill. And now we've got our data. We can go ahead and use the JavaScript map function to iterate over that list. And then with these two parameters, we can use the first one to render the list item by parsing it with the curly braces and accessing the name with dot notation. From here, we have to add a key, which that's how React will keep track of each of those items in the browser. And there you go. As you can see, it dynamically outputs that list based on the data. So now I got the hang of how lists work in JSX. Let's go ahead and let's explore event listeners. So to create an event listener, let's first start by creating a function, and we'll call this log name. And this will take in a name parameter, and we'll go ahead and log that name to the console. So now we have something we can invoke. We can create an onClick event. Now you'll notice that this event, along with any others, is camel case, unlike traditional HTML syntax. And then it's equal to the returned value of this function, which in our case, we can pass in the name as it's iterating through each one. So from here, to test this out, we'll save that in the browser, head back to our screen here. And when we inspect our console, we can see that each time I click on each of these in the list, it dynamically takes that name and outputs it to our log. So that's JSX in a nutshell. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that like button, and we'll see you at the next one.